idea how successful censorship is on TV? Don't know the answer? Successful, isn't it?
Hey everyone, welcome to the Prepared Mind channel. It is Monday, it is the afternoon, it is the 17th of November, folks. And last night, two items. Number one, I was told, John, you need a haircut. Number two, someone asked, Super Chat came in and said, we would like, or tell me your opinion on who killed Charlie Kirk. And that set off probably the longest discussion for a $2 Super Chat on the history of the planet. In any event, I really sat down afterwards, and I had some discussion with Uman after that, after the show ended, and then today again. And I thought, what are conspiracy theories? What do they mean to me with respect to our country, prepping, the world we live in, etc.? And it was interesting what I came up with in my own head, rather than discouraging myself or being too critical. I thought, you're completely fucking justified. All too often, we are told that's just a conspiracy theory. And what is the response that we typically have? We're apologetic. We give a kind of a sheepish acknowledgement. Yeah, I know. Or maybe in some cases, you'll be shamed. How dare you question the government? It's like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. But why? Why do we need to feel negative about having a theory about what's going on? Because, well, they call us a conspiracy theory is a pejorative term, a negative term. It's a put down. And when it's applied to you or me, often it's a personal insult of our intelligence. They don't want to face facts. They don't want to face reality. They don't want to think about something that makes them uncomfortable. So instead of exposing themselves to something other than the accepted mainstream down the middle bullshit story, they would attack you instead. They'll go to great lengths to defend the mainstream media, NBC or CNN. Why? What have they done for any fucking buddy? Whereas you're a friend, family member, co-worker, and you're trying to have a legitimate, adult, rational, logical, intelligent discussion, and they attack you instead. Conspiracy theories. But what does that say about the government and the media? Now, we as Americans used to rely on the media to dig, to compete with one another, to strive to get us the real facts, and to scoop the other media guys, right? Proving they're the best, they're competitive. Yeah, I worked harder, worked faster, got to the truth, brought it to the public, and that's why you should watch their channel, read their paper, buy their magazine. Now, and the government, whoa. The government was something that we, at least in my generation, we were taught was a servant to us, that it could be held accountable. Well, turns out that was a fairy tale. Our government has always lied, I believe, at least since the early 1800s. I think that the first couple of decades of the United States government, when it was being administered, run by the elected officials, fought in the Revolution, fought to get the Constitution passed, fought for the Bill of Rights, they were probably trustworthy. Since then, I think we've been lied to. And I think we pretend to believe that government has been honest. And all government did was pretend to tell us the truth. Now government doesn't even pretend. They just bald-faced lie to us with every breath and then tell us, right, you're wrong if you argue with them, or you're stupid. They just attack you, right? They even contradict themselves in the same sentence when testifying to us, the people, about the facts, no matter what the story is, whether an assassination, the budget, they just fucking lie right to us, right? Now, going back in history, I thought about where I came from in all of this. Oh, by the way, if we're going to do questions, Uman is working late. He'll probably check in somewhere through the middle of the show. put your comments, thoughts down in all caps down below. And when I get done with my monologue, we'll dig into what you guys have to say and think and your points as well. Now, the first theory, and I think I've shared this story with you guys numerous times, first conspiracy theory I heard about was that the Federal Reserve wasn't federal. It wasn't government, and it wasn't even an American-owned institution. Turns out it was true. Every word of that conspiracy theory was true. The Federal Reserve isn't federal. It isn't owned by our government. It's not even American. And after that, I spent years learning. I studied law. I worked within the legal field. I even considered becoming a lawyer while working within the legal system. I hoped, folks, that I could find the facts and the truth and use them through the legal system and help free Americans from what I saw as tyranny back then in the 1990s. I believe that if you found the law and you could explain it, you were fine. What I discovered, what I found out was that the government doesn't give a crap about law or the Constitution, our rights, or even a uniform policy that could be applied to everyone. It's special rules for the elite, and it's obvious now, while we, the people, are held to the strictest standards of the letter of the law, and we cannot escape. And I found out I shouldn't even care to try, because people were fighting the government, and the government gives them the maximum penalty for fighting to try and get them to, well, admit that the law exists and be held accountable under it, and then, right, work with the law. So, I gave up on trying to escape income tax and the Social Security and everything else. And I decided that I just needed to continue to learn for myself and also prepare for the worst case scenarios that are out there. I decided that in order to survive this awful machine, this system, that in order to survive, I shouldn't and couldn't join any movement, no matter how patriotic, well-meaning, or even justified the cause was. Why not? Because I watched one high school friend stand his ground on principle and live on TV was shot by the police and killed. We as a people watched Waco and Ruby Ridge as free Americans were made strict examples of and murdered on TV. We watched when the Oklahoma City bombing was used to villainize patriots and the patriot movement. So joining a group just allowed the government to label you an extremist, a terrorist, the enemy, a criminal, and then you could be victimized by them, and the media would carry their water, and you were not going to get out of it. Probably the ultimate legal battle was the freemen who gave the government a run for its money, but ultimately the government just says, we're the government. What are you going to fucking do? And threw them all in prison forever. Now, growing up, I have wanted to fight for our country, for our freedom, for our people, for our Constitution, to protect it from foreign enemies. So, I joined the Marines when I was 17, but I learned later that the most dangerous enemies were already here, inside our own borders. And once I became a civilian again, right, this is where I ended up. I knew we can, as servicemen and patriots, defeat any foreign enemy. But the 1990s, living through that, demonstrated that our own government was far more clever and evil. And it's afraid to tell us it was fighting us. It's cowardly, far more evil and incredibly cowardly. I discovered our own government lied about starting wars, as discussed last night in the zoo, the Gulf of Tonkin incident, for example, where they started the Vietnam War over lying about our ship being attacked. How about government medical experiments? Right, I've talked about the Tuskegee medical experiments because the government, the United States government, wanted to see, quote, untreated results of syphilis on the Negro man. Scummy, filthy government fucks, right? And also the continuous attacks on our freedoms through government legislation. Because there's no penalty, There's no consequence when government violates our rights. So they couldn't give a flying fuck about what we think of their actions. There's no penalty for them violating our rights. Truly, folks, government domestically has been far more dangerous than a foreign enemy. And our foreign enemies are at least honest enough to proclaim themselves and fight on the field of battle. Whereas the United States government and the state governments are full of cocksucking, chicken shit cowards and murderers. And yes, every dirty thing government has ever done is still done today. How about 9/11? We don't have to go to the Gulf of Tonkin or the Lusitania or the sinking of the Maine. 9/11, a tragic domestic act of terror and a huge lie. It was used to start a war, and it was used to deprive us of our rights with the Patriot Act and the NDAA, and it empowered the government to oppress us even further. And how about Obamacare, which we could not learn about or read about until and unless it was passed in Congress. You have to vote for it before you can read it. That was another travesty of justice. And then we have, COVID-19, a government bioweapon experiment released on us and a martial law style lockdown to gauge the American people's willingness to obey any command from the government. And then that was immediately followed by a massive medical experiment, even worse than the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, because the government lied about everything. And then they unleashed Operation Warp Speed, claiming it was safe and effective, these drugs that they wanted to give us, though it was supposedly just created as a result of discovering the COVID-19. But they created a new drug, but it's safe and effective, but they just created, and the safe and effective, but it's, right? It's bullshit. Turns out it was all a lie, and the safe and effective testing was on 20-year-old technology for gene therapy that was not and never was safe nor effective at anything, but it was to see how a global implementation of this product would work. And to this day, years later, they're still pushing the mRNA crap, knowing it is carcinogenic, it's deadly and destructive, and it's an experiment for those willing to continue taking it. But now they want to push the same material into, bioweaponizing insects, bioweaponizing foods, and who knows what else and where else they're trying to implement this crap. Government lied about HAARP, H-A-A-R-P, and weather modification, claiming it was ludicrous. That's a conspiracy theory. Sadly, as usual, the government lies, and everywhere modification and weather control is very real, and it's been successfully implemented as a weapon. And the same goes for chemtrails, another conspiracy theory that is absolutely true, and they're admitting the government is trying to pass rules to stop it. Other government officials are stopping them. We're just told it was a conspiracy theory, and kaboom, it's real. In the 1970s, my mother was scared to death over scientists claiming we're going into an ice age. And 15 years later, global warming became the new scare. And lo and behold, there was a tax and regulation system created just in time to follow the announcement that polar ice caps would melt, polar bears would drown and die, and the world was going to end if we didn't pay taxes and change the way we lived. Well, first, ice age and climate freezing, and then overheating and melting. It's eventually turned into, just plain old climate change. Not global cooling or global warming, just climate change. So that any weather event could be blamed on the average man's use of gasoline. And only recently, after for years, us saying this is a conspiracy theory on your part to control us, right? Or we just said, you're trying to control us and tax us. And they're like, that's a conspiracy theory. Climate change is real, right? Bill Gates, one of the most wealthy and also the most evil men on the planet, he agreed recently and publicly stated that climate change doesn't exist. But still, folks, the globalist billionaires and the elitist politicians met down in Brazil recently, to continue to push for regulation and taxes, but only after destroying thousands and thousands of acres of Brazilian forest to put in a special road for their jungle retreat meeting. Kind of like it over in the United Kingdom, they're cutting down thousands of acres of trees to put up windmills to save the environment. So when I hear someone say, that's a conspiracy theory, right? If you hear someone say, well, that's just a conspiracy theory, you might want to explain to them just a few of the examples of what I just detailed, of what government really does, and that our theories are always justifiable to create, right? It's justifiable to create them because they lie. And very frequently, we and our theories are far more reliable at explaining an event or a system of control than any government claims of their facts. So what am I doing here in the Prepared Mind chair, in the bunker? I want people to wake up. Come hell or high water, no matter what it takes, wake up and get prepared. Because everything that they've done to us, they're continuing to do to us. And everything we think that they're done, no, they're not done. There's even more waiting at some point. Right? Apart from direct and obvious attempts to destroy our rights and our nation and our lives and our health, the government, the U.S. government out of Washington, D.C., does engage in a conspiracy against us at every opportunity if it will enrich them and empower them and make us more and more their slaves. So you don't want to believe me? You don't want to believe what I just talked about? Then go listen to Pam Bondo Knows or Crash Pedals or Dan Bongina or the mainstream media, and you tell me they aren't lying. You know, when like the Department of Homeland Security head, Mayorkas, under the Biden administration, said the border is secure. He said that all the time to media and even to Congress. The border is secure. While we had independent, free Americans posting video after video after video of Mexicans, Central Americans, Arabs, Africans pouring over our border. And after that was exposed, folks, right? After we exposed, yeah, you actually are letting them in. They said, fuck it. The federal government openly flew these illegals into our country on fucking commercial airlines. And I witnessed that, folks. The government, they're all fucking liars. The media, they're all fucking liars. And if you don't see that they are liars, then why? Why did Trump and Bongina and Bondo and Patel and all the federal government demand Epstein's clients be exposed? Remember, this is before Trump was elected this time. They wanted that Epstein stuff out. They wanted it turned over and made public and all of this shit. And then they said they had the files, and then they said they lost the files and they had to review the files. And then they just came out and said it's all a fucking hoax. Even though people went to jail over this hoax, and Epstein himself was, well, he's either assassinated or extricated over a hoax. Is it a hoax or not? And we're told we're stupid and we're not wanted and we're idiots by people that think we're stupid and idiots when in fact I could see they're fucking liars. And now, after all of that, they decided to once again open up an investigation into Epstein's clients and connections with the Clintons. But wait, wasn't that a hoax? And we, the Americans, were idiots for believing it was ever real? But now we're going to open up and start a new investigation to put political pressure on Democrats. Are you aware yet? Are you awake? And do you see that it is all a lie, a hoax? It's a conspiracy to enslave and destroy us all while giving themselves special privileges to break any law, steal any money, rape children, kill us, etc., etc., etc. Conspiracy theories are dumb, wrong, silly, a waste of time. To me, they're a study of evil and its machinations against all that is decent and all that is honorable. We come up with theories to explain what they're fucking lying about, trying to understand their motivation. What is their end goal? And it's there for us all the time. They tell us. They tell us. They show us exactly who they are. That's why I'm in this chair, folks. That's why I do this channel. I want people to have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, because the government doesn't really give a fuck about you. They're continuing to sit on their hands and allow lawlessness, both from other government and other powerful people, and from these people, these third world shithole scumbags that have come to our country to destroy it. They're allowing it. They're encouraging it. Fuck, they're even rewarding it and paying them money. What do you want to believe? Now, over the weekend, we had the people of Mexico, a lot of them, gather in the outside the palace in Mexico City, the government palace. Interesting that they call it a palace. And they broke through the barricades and they attacked the police, and the police attacked them. They all attacked each other because the people of Mexico are tired of being run by drug cartels. I mean, do you recall last week? It was just last week when the president of Mexico, Sheinbaum, right? Sounds really Mexican. Sheinbaum, she said that waging war, trying to stop the cartels in Mexico from committing their acts of terrorism, their acts of assassination and murder and control through extortion, bribery, etc. She said it was illegal. She said it was fascist. She said it was a violation of the drug cartel's rights. Isn't that fascinating? How the chief executive of a nation as big and powerful and wealthy as Mexico is worried about the rights of a drug cartel that murders and assassinates, kidnaps women, sells them into the sex trades. Is she's worried about their rights. But fuck the people of Mexico. See what I'm saying? I don't know if she is stupid, but she came out and essentially said exactly what our government is doing. Our government refuses to jail Obama for treason, Hillary for treason, violating national security, violating secrecy laws, James Comey, Clapper, Brennan in the intelligence services should be arrested and tried for treason and given the appropriate punishment. They're getting away with it. Well, we don't want to violate their rights. We don't want to embarrass people. We don't want to take the time and the effort, even though they have the evidence. It's the same thing as, is it Claudia Sheinbaum? Right? Puta Sheinbaum. Yeah, she knows what she is, right? She sold herself and her country. But she actually just came out and said, no, it's a violation of their rights. Oh, we can't violate the rights of traders. Inside, speaking of traders, insider trading. Martha Stewart was arrested, put on trial, found guilty of insider trading, and spent years and years and years in jail. Nancy Pelosi in Congress now does insider trading and are enriching themselves by giving government contracts to the companies that they invest in. No one's going to jail. No one's being tried. No one's being arrested. No one's even being looked at. Right? And we're supposed to be worried about the violation of the rights of drug cartels in Mexico. I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? That was what led to the riot and revolt in Mexico City over the weekend. Right? Now, knowing that our politicians are protecting pedophiles, the Epstein client list, which probably includes politicians, foreign politicians, foreign dignitaries, corporations, CEOs, CFO, important people, as well as aristocrats, right? The royal family of England, King Charles, stripped his own brother, Prince Andrew, of his royal titles, threw him out of the royal house because of his association with pedophiles and Epstein. Wait, that's a hoax. You're telling me the King of England disowned his own brother, and his own brother's probably going to go on trial for what he's done, but it's a hoax? What else has the Mexican government and Herr Puta Scheinbaum done behind closed doors that would cause a very passive Catholic society like Mexico to rebel in such violent terms? Just think about it, right? Think about it. I tell you, folks, what do you want to discuss? Put them in the comments down below. You know, one of the devices that they use against us is to keep us fighting with each other, right? One group says this, the other group says that, and then we're like, hey, you know, you're a conspiracy theorist. No, you're a conspiracy. You're in denial. No, that's a river in Egypt, right? But it's always divide and conquer, or divide and SHTF, right? And one of the big tools that they're using now, and they'll distract us, they'll change the story, but I wanted to bring this one up because it's exactly what they do, right? Racial divisiveness is one that's really pissed me off, and retarded eyelashes Representative Jasmine Crockett is continuing it. She has now compared immigrations and customs enforcement agents to members of the Ku Klux Klan. A member of the government looks at law and order and calls them the Klan. And Maggot Mike, the Speaker of the House, is a weak little man. He's a coward. He should bring it up, a vote to censure her for this rhetoric against our government and the people for trying to uphold the laws. But these Republicans are weak. They allow a shitheel like Maggot Mike to lead them into continued failure. And folks, when governments get to this level of failure, not only do they violate all manner and form of law and rights, but they also guarantee through their idiocy and weakness a system failure. SHTF always follows weakness in leadership because of the bad decisions and the lawlessness surrounding it. Get prepared for shit to hit the fan. I tell you. Now, I haven't even looked. I just kind of been on a tear here with you guys. When our government is weak, what do? Well, they just, there's no accounting. There's no accountability. No one is being censured. No one is being impeached. No one is being removed. No one is being expelled. No one is being called out. The government is all fine, right? So our enemies, foreign, see how our enemies, domestic, have tied this country's hands behind its own back. So over the weekend, Tehran is like their Washington, D.C., that's their capital. Iran has admitted seizing a private merchant ship in the Strait of Hormuz. That's the body of water down there in the Persian Gulf that leads through to the Suez Canal, right? They seized the ship, which is flagged in the Marshall Islands, making it a United States territory oil tanker. And so then they had this oil tanker go into Iranian territorial waters. It's a flagrant attack on U.S. merchant marines. Or is this our own government committing a false flag bullshit story like the Gulf of Tonkin? And they're feeding that to us to encourage our support of war with Iran, which is something the nation of Israel wants to do. Which is it? I trust the British the Israelis and Washington, D.C. with a massive percentage of a 0% rating. I don't trust any of these people. All I had to do was just go down my list of shit, just off the top of my head. Well, it's a conspiracy theory. The facts. The facts. They did this COVID thing, and then they said, well, we're not going to release any information on anything for 70 years. Oh, you can trust us. It's safe and effective, but we're not going to give you any information for 70 fucking years. Had to wait 60 years for the JFK file. Guess what? They just locked them down for another, who knows how they're long. They'll never admit anything. But even if they did, if the government admitted like they did with the Tuskegee medical experiments on Black Americans to see how syphilis untreated caused them to die. Even if they told us and we said that's wrong and they said, yeah, it's wrong, what are you going to do? They give themselves immunity. They forgive themselves, right? And they just go on fucking us. There's only so much before things get crazy. And again, I'm not going out and joining any gangs, any groups. But when the time comes, and I think we'll all know it, right? When we're completely done and we're at the end of everything and the shooting begins, you will know it's time. And then, folks, because we're not allowed to gather in groups of Americans and discuss our rights and our duties under the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. We're not allowed to get together and say, you know, the government's violated our rights. We've tried and tried and tried. They don't listen. They're continuing to violate our rights, including lying to us, stealing from us, jailing us. Everything in the Declaration of Independence, everything that King George did to us, our own government is doing, and worse, including burning down people's houses, farms, estates, and lives, murdering and raping the people of this country in a literal sense, stealing from us, requiring licenses, holding fake trials. Fuck, they were holding people without any trials, torturing people. Everything that King George did, everything, including bringing in foreign nationals to attack us terrorist style. Everything King George did is right here happening now. And we cannot sit down and have a meeting and say, what are you going to do about it? Because then we become, well, the government will say we're terrorists. So what King George didn't have in the 1770s was the internet to spy on everyone with electronic devices and learn what they're talking about and give a shit about. But the moment it goes down, the moment we all know it's showtime, the moment justice is going to be handled by an irate population that has vigilante justice as its last resort, that's when we'll gather together. And it won't take long to figure out who's on what side. And anyone who is a traitor to the side they choose will be taken out and summarily executed for being a traitor. Right? People will pick sides and it's just going to be a fucking party. It's going to be a melee. And at that point, game on. If, and I'll say again, if it gets that far, I don't believe the U.S. government or the state government or a local government is going to turn around and go, you know, that Constitution, I think they had it right. I think they probably should just start following that again. When was the last time you heard a government official, elected, appointed, legislative, executive, any judge go, you know what? I think we ought to start paying attention to that Constitution again. Things just don't seem to be working out this other way, making shit up as we go, fucking everyone over, stealing, screwing everyone, you know. No, they don't say that. They're like, oh, you wanna complain? We're going to shut your bank account. You want to complain? We're going to take your kids from you. You want to complain? Oh, do you? It's always punish, is it not? All right, now I'm very curious about what you guys want to talk about. So let's do it. Let's get to the questions. Oh, this is good stuff. All right, I've got the comments. I scrolled to the top. Then we got Robin. Let's see. What did I see? Oh, shoot. It loaded up some more. Let's see. It was something from Robin. It was wondering what in the title C theory was about. Yeah. I don't think we'll get anything. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to find some stuff. Ooh, man. Yep, he's out there. Okay. Yeah, Robin G's wrote, here we go. She wrote, I wonder what this C theory is you speak of. That's just the title, conspiracy theories, right? All right, let's continue to move on. People saying hi to each other. Aha. Let's just start. Oh, fuck. Uman just texted me that it's raining and people are driving like retards. Not going to make it back to the show in time. I'm sorry, brother. Drive safe. Yes. Rain brings out the best in us. So we've got Who's Your Life and says, what up, y'all? Uman, Mikey, G, Keg, Heidi, Rockin', Robin, Badass. Sorry I missed the show last night. Oh, you did all caps. I thought that was a comment. Oh, well, whoops. Always a smooth start. Let's do this. Diving Frog says, John, I fought for my Constitution and Bill of Rights. But last night during the show, I had to fight a husky for a cheesesteak. You know who won that? Well, Diving Frog, if you get into a fight with a husky, which is a large dog, over a cheesesteak, you'll probably end up getting your hand perforated a little bit. But you're supposed to establish dominance before you pull out a cheesesteak, brother. Very dangerous business getting between a dog and some meat. Anyways, let's go down to this. Robin G says, I see it as the T-Man already has had his fortune and power. Now it would seem he is securing fame to round out his life story. Talking about President Trump. We are still left on our own. Yeah, this is an interesting comment that Trump is there for his legacy. The Trump family legacy, his descendants, and the power that the Trump family can assume. They can assume the mantle of power and control, influence over the American nation for the next several years, maybe even decades. And I know the Democrats are afraid of that, but yeah, we're on our own. Trump has fortune, Trump has power, and he wants fame and recognition. He doesn't want to be questioned. He doesn't want to be put on the spot, right? Isn't that interesting? I find that rather interesting. You'd think it'd be something else, but, ego. Interesting how it's turned out to be about ego. Part of my computer is froze up, so I do not know if the entire show has frozen up. I don't have Uman here for this. All right. Well, the computer has frozen. I do not have Uman. There we go. It's trying. It always appears that whenever I've got a especially contentious set of topics to bring up, that the computer just freezes. So again, I'm going to proceed as if everything's working, but I'm going to have to switch over to my stories, right? My news items. And it's more of the same stuff. We have the acting FEMA chief has resigned rather abruptly. Why do you think that's so? Right? Do you want to believe the government excuse? Right? So here's the headline, or here's the story. Acting FEMA chief David Richardson resigned on Monday, says CBS News. He's a Marine Corps veteran. He was Assistant Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, Countering Weapons of Mass Destruction Office. Sounds pretty important stuff, right? Why did he just resign? Well, starting December 1st, Karen Evans will assume the role of acting administrator. Right? But 5 current and former Homeland Security officials familiar with the decision said, yeah, Richardson submitted his resignation. It's not giving us any reasons. But earlier this year, Cameron Hamilton was abruptly removed from his post, just one day after publicly opposing the administration's push to abolish, right, the agency itself. So once again, we go right back to the way government conducts itself. It's you do it their way, or they'll fire you, destroy you, ruin your name, or throw you in jail. You play the game their way, or it's over. And that's all there is to it. Interesting news, is it not? What do we got this year? Unbelievable. These illegals that are in the country with commercial driver's licenses, they're going to continue to do what they do, folks. We are surrounded by absolute criminals, and they're all in the government positions. And they brought in lesser criminals to attack us. Now, President Trump is doing something, and this is an interesting one. He has floated the trial balloon about, well, striking the drug cartels in Mexico and Colombia is a way to what? Anyways, he says doing that would be, quote, okay with me. I would be proud to do it personally. Launching strikes against the bad guys. Now, again, I'm against the drug guys because they're killing Americans, American children, American families, businesses. We got a lot being destroyed because of it. Right? So how do we solve that problem? I can't trust the government. I can't trust their motivation. I can't trust their justification, because they'll tell us one thing to get us to believe it while they're there for an entirely different reason. Afghanistan is a great example of that. We need to get in there and find Osama bin Laden. But while we're here, we're going to increase the opium poppy fields, which is something that, interestingly, the Taliban Islamists didn't want. And then they exploited the country for its natural resources. But we were told it was to find that one man, that one funny little man who was on kidney dialysis, had horrible health, because he did the 9/11 attack. Well, their justification was weak, especially since all the evidence of 9/11 literally showed that there's no way it could have happened the way they said. It was all a giant false flag operation against us, the people, to terrorize us so that we could say to the government, go ahead and do whatever you need. The whole thing is rather disgusting and disturbing, and I've had enough of it again. Let's see. Ted Cruz, who is very much Israel first, is considering running for president in 2028. Do you think for a second America is going to fall for this again with Ted Cruz? He came close several years ago. But it turns out he's Israel first, Israel first, Israel first. And he's threatened Americans. And he doesn't really give a shit about this country. And he likes to kiss little girls. That video is going to be played again and again and again, countless times, as he, in a very smarmy, disgusting, perverted kind of way, kisses an underage girl who is trying to get away from him. And then he stares at the camera. And it was just really sick. Very, I'm going to use the term, pedophilic. Now, once again, I do not know if the show is recording properly or if it's froze. So what I'm going to do is see if I can. Sorry about that. Shit. Oh, fascinating. It is live and going. Good ski. All right. Let us continue if we shall. I think I've got control of everything again. Man, right, if you're out there, pull over. John needs help. SOS. That's funny. I'm good again. But folks, we've got serious trouble. I don't think that I'm going to continue to encourage government to do the right things with emails and text messages, working with you guys. But I feel it's more important, and it's always been more important, to tell people to get prepared. Redneck Roughneck writes in, meanwhile, Ma'am Danny, that's the Muslim possible Jew, because he's been caught wearing the little Jewish hat. This guy's dangerous, and he's going to be the mayor of New York City. Meanwhile, would-be Mayor Mandamny has asked his supporters for funding, and he got $1 million from, CARE, which is an Islamic group with ties to radical jihad terrorist groups. Whatever happened to government protecting this nation from political influence from outside? I guess CARE has decided that, AIPAC, the America-Israeli Political Action Committee, doesn't have to. I heard someone else describe AIPAC as meaning something other than Political Action Committee, but that's what a fucking PAC is. Political Action Committee. In any event, I guess if Israel can do it, then the Muslims can do it. Have you noticed that our country is being fought over by Israel and Muslims and drug cartels? I thought it was our country. I thought our government was supposed to work for us and fight for us and serve us. Instead, they serve themselves, enrich themselves, and they're allowing foreign nationals and organizations and criminal cartels to fight for control of our politicians. That is a fucking disgusting, and I mean disgusting, state of affairs that we are in, when our government is more interested in getting money from foreign organizations who don't have our best interests at heart. Redneck Roughneck says, CARE is the Center for Islamic Relations, and it's funded on our tax dollars. CARE does get American tax dollar money, just like lots of foreign organizations do, through USAID, right? You said. Well, a lot of that money is dried up, if not all the way dried up. But CARE also gets its money from other anti-American, pro-Islamic sources. I believe that they are associated with the Islamic Brotherhood, which should be designated a foreign terrorist organization, but it's not. Why won't our government declare who the terrorists are and protect us? Let's continue here. Staten Island has decided they no longer want to be a borough of New York City. That's right. They want to be separated from. They no longer want to be part of New York City, Staten Island, because of Mandamny, because of that Muslim that hates America, because he's a communist that hates America, because he wants to take the property of those who have worked, earned, and saved by calling them rich white people. Oh, yeah. He's completely gone racist. Completely gone racist. This is the world we live in. This is the world we live in. I tell you what, folks. We're having a bunch of trouble here with the system. Oh, wait. Well, not a bot. Lynn says, John, you were good the whole time. Well, that's good. That's good. I don't know why we lost 3/4 of the viewers. I don't know where they went or why they went. unless they disappeared when I had to hit the reset button and reload. I guess it could have punted them off. I don't know. In any event, folks, it has been a good show, and I am mentally and emotionally exhausted from my monologue discussing conspiracy theories and why, to me, they're very valuable and important instruments of instruction and education. Right or wrong, right? They reveal things about ourselves, our country, and the situation we're in. And I just can't. Nancy says, "Hey, John, we can see you." I can't allow these people to get away with shaming us from trying to figure out what the hell is going on. The same way Trump tried shaming us for demanding exactly what he promised he would do. You know, that kid that, we're calling him a kid that shot Trump allegedly, Crooks. They keep putting pictures of him when he's like 12 instead of the age he was at when he did his business. They could find every single Republican patriot from January 6, 2021 in Washington, D.C., whether they were at the Capitol or not. They knew they were in D.C. They followed their phones, traced them back to who they were because it pinged and pinged or whatever through the system. They could track them down and find them, but they can't find out who Thomas Crooks, was talking to in the FBI in Washington, D.C. prior to his so-called assassination attempt on Trump. Of course, they shot him immediately. And then the next day they were on the roof using a hose to wash away any forensic evidence. You can trust the FBI, right? You can trust them, yeah. Well, why was Thomas Crooks, why was he on a BlackRock video? Right, the largest investment firm on the planet. Same with Ryan Root, the other assassin. They can't find anything about. They can't tell us anything about him. They can't. And here's another one. Ragnar Refn says they'll never make me believe they couldn't get into his encrypted phone. Right, they can't do that. They don't know how to do that. Hackers get into our shit all the time. How the hell can the United States government, with its massive resources and computing power, not break into it with what? Just brute strength. Just running supercomputers at it until it breaks the password. Even if it took a month or 2 months, hell, it's been over a fucking year. They still haven't figured out? Yeah. Not a bot. Lynn says, yeah, they have no trouble getting into the enemy's phone. And who's the enemy? You and me. In fact, I believe Redneck Roughneck is probably more right than not when he says they write the encryption programs. You think they don't? In fact, Ooman and I were talking about this. You think they don't have a back door into every phone through every app? Of course they do. That way they can maintain control. Oh, man. That's who these people are. They're consummate bullshit, snowball artists, liars, and carpetbaggers. There's not a bad enough word for them to describe who they are and what they're doing. There just isn't. I can't insult them bad enough. Like, I've insulted people before and thought, John, you're just a little bit rough. Just a little rough there, buddy. You need to take it easy. When it comes to government, I don't think you can be rough enough. We can't hold them accountable. Whoa, our system is set up so you can elect someone else to replace the bad guys, and that way we'll always have a trustworthy government. My ass. Oh, when they're not in office, you can charge them with crimes and put them in jail if they violated the law. Yeah, but passing unconstitutional laws is not a crime. It should be. You want to stop bad legislation? Make it a crime to pass legislation to violate our rights. In fact, that should be a fucking crime. If a cop violates our rights, he can be sued and he can be fucking kicked out of the force. If a judge violates your rights, you can sue the judge. Good luck, but you can. And if you win, and it's demonstrable, and if you win, that judge can be thrown out of office, fined, put in jail, etc. But Congress and state legislatures and the Senate, they can violate our rights with their legislation and no penalty. Yep. I've had enough. I'm exhausted, folks. I will see you 0 dark 30 tomorrow. For now, I wish you a good night. Thank you for participating. I hope you enjoyed the show. Share, thumbs up, like, whatever it takes. Spread the word. People need to be prepared. We're not being led down the path to happiness and prosperity. We're being led to a fucking slaughterhouse. Or, hey, you can come with your own decision. That's my thought. Right? As we get further and further away from the intent and spirit of the Constitution, I see myself getting closer and closer to the slaughterhouse of evil that governments set up when they lose their power and lose control. They lose it completely on the people. Folks, chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours.